In today's KSAT Q&A, as we are most Tuesdays, we are joined by San Antonio Mayor Ron Nirenberg to talk with us about a variety of topics. Mayor, thanks for being here as always. We saw that you were part of the visit with the Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas earlier today. He toured a vaccination site here. Seems like he was complimentary of what San Antonio has done so far, but the work is not over. So give us an update, if you can, about where we are locally with this vaccination effort, as a lot of people concerned about this Delta variant.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you that the Biden administration, as many folks know, has placed a bold goal for July 1, really the July 4th break, to have the numbers of Americans vaccinated. I think that the administration is going to fall slightly short of that goal, but here in San Antonio, we are going to exceed that goal. And in fact, we have now almost 73% of our population have had at least one dose of the vaccination. We also know that almost 58% have been fully vaccinated. We're approaching now almost 1 million people that are fully vaccinated in our community. So those are great numbers. He was here to tour the Wonderland Mall mass vaccination site, which is one of the first operating in the country, and it has been one of the best in the country. So again, showing off the teamwork and collaboration that has gotten us through this pandemic to this point, and also at the point where we are now exceeding the federal goals that have been set for vaccination. But your point, Myra, is a good one. We know that the Delta variant has already been detected in Austin. We are sure from public health officials that it's here present in our community. And the importance of that is that if folks are vaccinated, they are protected against the Delta variant. It's more infectious, but the vaccination protects you. The challenge is if you are not fully vaccinated, we're finding that the level of immunity before you get your second dose is much lower than in the previous mutations of the virus. So people are encouraged, if you are eligible, go get a vaccination. We've got plenty available for you. And if you've only gotten one dose, you need to continue to protect yourself until you get that second dose of the vaccine.
Mayor, if we can shift gears here real quickly and go to the winter storm. The Emergency Preparedness Committee released its report last week, a number of recommendations. What are the biggest takeaways for you from that report? How many of those recommendations are going to be implemented, and what are your top priorities?
Well, I think we need to implement all of them. And I've told our boards of governance at CPS and SAWS and the city council here that we need to take ownership of those recommendations and do what we can do that's within our control. Some of the findings of the report are no surprise, and chiefly among them that the state management of the energy system has set up the entire state for failure. However, there are things, and many things, that were pointed out in the report that we can do better. First and foremost, we need to ensure that our local infrastructure is weatherized to the extent that we can. And that includes our plants, our generation capacity. It also means ensuring there's backup capacity for energy for critical infrastructure like our SAWS pumping stations. It also suggests that we need to do a better job in preparation and training for contingencies that maybe 10 years ago may not have been conceived. A winter event and a storm caused outage of energy that would last for this long was not anticipated in any emergency of the documentation. So we need to plan for contingencies that were once unfathomable. And then, of course, from the CPS side, when we are forced into shedding load, which is what happened with ERCOT's management of the grid, when we're forced into turning off circuits, making those circuits that have to be turned off smaller so that we don't affect such a great portion of the population. So there's a number of things that we can do, some of which are being done immediately, but we need to make sure that all of this is done in an accountable, transparent manner, and that there's updates to the city council that can be part of public viewing. I will tell you that the report itself is available for download. Anyone can go on and take a look at it. You can go to sanantonio.gov/emergency-preparedness. Take a look at the report, and also keep tuned to that website to ensure that your city council and the boards of governance of the utilities are doing the right things according to these reports.
Another big issue for the city that we've been talking about for months, negotiations with the San Antonio Police Officers Association on a new contract. You are not in the room for those negotiations, so I understand there's not an update from your personal perspective. But can you talk to us about what happens if a deal is not reached by the time their current contract expires, which that's at the end of September?
Yeah, and first I'll tell you that the negotiation sessions themselves are public meetings, so people can watch and stay tuned to what's happening in the actual negotiations. However, with respect to the negotiation progress, we want to get a contract in which there's better accountability and disciplinary transparency that we can hold accountable in the contract. So if a deal is not reached and we fall short of those objectives to give our chief the authority to hire and fire and to ensure that there's proper transparency and accountability of our police department, if that contract agreement falls short and a contract is not reached, the contract that we are under right now expires on September 30th. If that happens, it triggers an evergreen clause in which most of the provisions remain in place, but the officers themselves are not going to receive compensation increases outside of those promotions that might occur. So it's in the benefit of members of the police association, those good police officers who themselves are not part of the disciplinary process for their careers, to ensure that we are continuing the good faith negotiations and achieving the objectives that city wants to reach in terms of accountability measures that should be commonplace in every department across the country. So we are anxiously awaiting the results and the conclusion of the negotiation. I have good reason to be confident that the good faith negotiations will achieve that result that we want in terms of a good contract for the public, for the city, and for the members of the police department themselves.
A few more months left before that deal expires at the end of September. Mayor Ron Nirenberg, thanks so much for being with us.
Great to be with you. Have a great day.
Thank you, Mayor. We'll be right back.